Okay, welcome back to English for You. I'm Erin.
And I'm Mike.
And we are talking about a book called The Hidden Oracle. And we learned about this god Apollo who comes crashing down to Earth. He lands in a dumpster, doesn't know who or where he is. And he looks in his wallet and he finds out that he's now a human named Lester Papadopoulos.
This is all news for Apollo because he's actually a Greek god.
Right.
But his father, the other Greek god or another Greek god, Zeus, has punished him by sending him to modern Earth, the Earth we live in and the time we live in as a normal person. He got in a bit of trouble as soon as he arrived because he was attacked by some robbers. Some thugs tried to rob him and steal his money, but then a nice girl named Meg came along. She started to throw some fruit at the robbers or the muggers or the thugs. They ran away, and so she said to Apollo that he owes her a big favor that he has to pay off until she decides that everything is fair and even between them. Now, this is a little difficult for him because, of course, he's just a normal person, and she, turns out, is not a normal person. She's a demigod. She's kind of like a half-god from his time, and she wants his help to go somewhere.
Right. So one of Apollo's tasks, it's actually his first task here, is to get Meg to the camp she's trying to get to. It's called Camp Half-Blood. It's a special camp for demigods. And to do this, of course, he doesn't have a car. He just landed in a dumpster. He has to turn to another demigod for help, who happens to live in the area quite fortuitously.
Very lucky that.
He's pretty lucky. So he turns to Percy Jackson, who you might recognize as another demigod. And Percy Jackson, he doesn't really want to get involved at first, but he finally agrees to drive them to the camp, and that's where we left off.
All right, so let's check out today's part of the story, and then we'll be back to discuss it.
Reading.
The Hidden Oracle. When Apollo and Meg arrive at the camp, they're shocked to find the place in a bad way. For one, the Oracle of Delphi can no longer deliver oracles or messages from the gods. For another, there have been no messages sent out or received at the camp for quite a while. What's worse, some of the demigods at the camp have gone missing. Apollo and Meg have arrived at the camp just in time for a three-legged race through the labyrinth. Great strength and intelligence are required to get through it, especially when fastened to someone else. Once they're in the labyrinth, Meg and Apollo, who are partners, come up behind a dragon. The pair overhears the dragon talking to someone called the Beast. From this conversation, Meg and Apollo learn that the company Triumvirate Holdings is attempting to control all 5 oracles. The company's strategy is to have the demigods at Camp Half-Blood destroy the Grove of Dodona, one of the oracles. Conveniently for Triumvirate Holdings, the grove is located in the forest surrounding the camp.
Okay, so what's going to happen first?
Well, let's check out the first sentence, which tells us that when Apollo and Meg arrive at the camp, they're shocked to find the place in a bad way. Ooh. So they got their lift, they got Percy Jackson, they got his help to bring them to the camp. But when they arrive there, they're not really happy. In fact, they're shocked. When you're shocked, you're surprised, and often in a not kind of good way.
Right.
They're shocked to find the place, the camp, in a bad way. In a bad way means in a bad situation. It basically wasn't looking nice. There were problems with the camp. So we were not further in a bad way. Let's stop here for our shortcut for you and find out more about that phrase.
Shortcut for you.
Why weren't you at work yesterday, Pat?
I was at the hospital.
The hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with doctors. but that's not important right now.
I mean, why were you at the hospital?
I was visiting my grandma. She was in a bad way.
She was in a bad mood? I would be too if I was at the hospital.
Not a bad mood, a bad way. If someone or something is in a bad way, it's in trouble, either because of sickness or some other problem.
I understand. In a bad way means 处境困难. Will your grandma be okay?
Yeah, she was in a bad way yesterday, but my mum called and told me she's much better today. She can go home tomorrow.
Yay.
Okay, so what exactly is wrong with the camp? Is it full of mosquitoes? Is it dusty? Did no one throw out the garbage?
Sounds like some camps I've been to.
Lots of flies. What's the problem?
Okay, well, I think this is normally a pretty good camp, but things are going wrong right now. It says, for one, the Oracle of Delphi, or Delphi, a little bit iffy on that pronunciation there, can no longer deliver oracles or messages from the gods.
Oh, that's serious.
Okay, now we have a little bit of explaining here to do. This word oracle is used several times in this article in several different ways. Now, in Greek mythology, the word oracle can be used to mean a message delivered from a god, like it is in this sentence. Okay, but it can also refer to a temple where people will go to receive oracles from the gods. But sometimes it even means the being who delivers messages. Now, that's what we mean when we say the Oracle of Delphi, or Delphi. I'm not sure how to say that. So this Oracle of Delphi is a person, and she is delivering an oracle or a message, and she probably has a special temple where she does that too.
Yeah, this is a real place in Greece. And back in the old days, people would go there and ask, kind of like how people today will go to the temple and throw those tiles on the floor. Should I get married? Should I take this long journey? And the oracle was famous for giving them answers that weren't very accurate.
Right.
So you could either follow it or not follow it, and the oracle will always be right in a way. Like, I remember one guy said, will I come back from this war a hero? And the oracle said, yes, you will come riding on your shield. And he thought he would be, like on the shoulders of all his soldiers, and they'd be cheering, and because he'd be such a great leader.
Sounds like he was carried back.
He actually came back dead, lying on top of his shield. And the oracle's like, well, I told you you'd be riding your shield, just not alive. Anyways, so that's what oracles were. And yeah, these were, messages from the gods. And, and back in those days, like today, a lot of people thought this was serious stuff. And, you really got to take their advice. What is a message? It's a short note.
Right.
Basically, you're just sending someone a little bit of information. If you're sending a text message or using WhatsApp or anything like that, a few characters, a few words, a few sentences, that's a message. And it's often important information. For example, Derek wrote a message to his mom and left it on the kitchen table.
Right. Okay. So they are not allowed to get these messages in and out of the camp, or they're no longer able to do it. We don't know why, but there's another problem going on. It says, for another, there have been no messages sent out or received at the camp for quite a while.
So basically their God internet is broken.
Yeah, it seems like that. Okay, now we've actually used a couple of grammar points in this sentence. Now the first one is for one, for another, and we use this pattern to first show one example of something you have mentioned and then a second example. So our first one is about messages not being received, and that it's been happening for quite a while.
Very, very interesting.
Now, as an example sentence, we could say, I don't want to eat there. For one, the food is too expensive. For another, I didn't like the service I received there last time.
All right, and we have this little grammar construction there. There have been no messages sent out or received. When we talk about there, and then we use some form of the have verb, there has, there have, there had, and then been, plus a subject. There have been no messages. That would be our subject there. Basically, it's saying up to this point, this is the situation. This is the way it is, all right?
Right.
Now, you can also, of course, use it in the negative. You know, you might say, there hasn't been any rain yet.
Right.
Right? So up until the time I am talking about from a while ago or some time ago, this has or has not occurred. It could change in the future, but this is the way it is up until now, up until the time we're in now. For example, there have been 45 different presidents in American history.
That's true.
There you go. 45 up until now, going back from George Washington all the way up to Donald Trump.
Okay. So here's another problem that's happening at the camp. So they're in a really bad way, I guess.
What's going on?
Yeah, it says, what's worse, some of the demigods at the camp have gone missing.
Wow.
Okay, so we use this phrase, what's worse. We can use it to say that we have even more information to add. Now, here we're specifically saying that this new information is worse than bad things you mentioned before. You could also say what's more, that's you're adding any kind of information, or what's better, you're adding good information to something.
Wow. So, yeah, it's tough times over at Camp Half-Blood.
Right.
The oracle's not working. There's no messages in and out, and some of the other demigods are missing. So, with all of this sort of bad stuff going on, there is a little bit of sunshine. There is a little bit of fun to be had still in the camp. It says, Apollo and Meg have arrived at the camp just in time for a three-legged race, or a three-legged race through the labyrinth.
Ooh.
So they still have time for some fun and games. That's what a race is, right? It's a competition, running or, something like that. And they've arrived just in time. When something happens in time, it basically means by a certain time or at the right time, maybe before it was too late.
Right.
For example, we got to the train station just in time to catch our train.
You were probably running.
That's right, running like a minute before the train left. A minute before the train left is when we arrived. So I guess as Apollo and Meg get to the camp, they're just about to begin the race. So they get to join in the race. And the race is, well, it's kind of unusual because it's through a labyrinth.
Right. Now, this word labyrinth, it's spelled kind of funny. You can see it in the magazine, but we'll just say L-A-B-Y-R-I-N-T-H, labyrinth. Bit of an interesting spelling there. Now, a labyrinth is a place, or sometimes we call it a maze, M-A-Z-E, maze, that has many different paths you can take to get through it. Now, there are often so many paths in the labyrinth that you get lost very easily, and it's very easy to not be able to find your way out of the labyrinth. All right, so not an easy thing to do.
No, especially when you're in a three-legged race and you have to run with another person. Wow, all right. So as we can learn from the next sentence, great strength and intelligence are required to get through it, especially when fastened to someone else. Yeah, definitely.
We saw that Meg and Apollo need intelligence and strength to get through the labyrinth. Intelligence is a noun, and it's the ability to learn, understand, and think about things. Here's an example sentence. You'll need to use intelligence to solve this challenging puzzle. Luck won't help you at all.
Yeah, you got to run and you got to remember which way to go and not get too lost. And it's even more difficult because you are fastened to someone else.
Right. So hopefully you get fastened to someone you get along well with. Otherwise, you'll be fighting the whole time. Now, when you're fastened to someone or something, you're connected to two or more things are connected together, maybe using glue or string or something else that puts two things together. Now, we know that it's a three-legged race. That's when two people stand next to each other and their middle legs are tied together with a string or a piece of cloth or something like that. And then the two people have to use their outside legs and their one middle leg to move. So it's not just, it's it's difficult both physically and mentally because you have to really communicate well with the person to say which leg goes first, which leg goes second.
Absolutely. It's a very much of a team game because you have to run as kind of one person. You're fastened together.
Right. So we did use fasten in an example sentence. We could say, the campers fastened a cover onto their tent with a thin rope. So don't want it to rain in that tent.
That's right. They attached it. They don't want it to blow off or something, so they fastened it. Anyways, once they're in the labyrinth, it says, Meg and Apollo, who are partners, they come up behind a dragon. Hey, no one mentioned the dragon in the labyrinth. It's already hard enough, but now we have a dragon there. Everyone knows what a dragon is. It flies. It looks like a dinosaur. It breathes fire. It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I think there's actually... If you read the full book, you will find out there's a lot more to know about this labyrinth than what we're telling in this story.
Okay.
It's a place where some scary animals and beasts live there.
Greek labyrinths were famous for the monsters that you found inside them.
That's right. Okay, so Meg and Apollo, they've come up behind this dragon, and it says the pair overhears the dragon talking to someone called the Beast. Okay, now when you overhear something, you hear two or more people talking about something that you are not involved in or are not supposed to be involved in. Maybe you've come up behind someone who's telling somebody a secret and they don't want anybody else to know, but you hear them, you overhear this conversation.
You're like spying with your ears, basically. Yeah. Okay. And who is the dragon talking to? Well, we don't really know, but this is the person, the creature, the animal, whatever. Its name is the beast. And I say animal because, well, a beast is an animal.
That's right.
Often when we talk about like a real beast, not from a storybook, but in nature, it's usually kind of maybe a scary animal, a dangerous
like a big bear or something.
Big animal. I mean, you could call an elephant a beast, or even a large cow or something like that, but we also might use it for, dinosaurs or lions or anything like that. I mean, you wouldn't call a bird a beast, not really a person. And often when it's used as a name of a monster in a movie, this is going to be a big, scary, frightening monster. I wouldn't want to meet a monster called the Beast.
Or a dragon.
Or a dragon. Or a dinosaur. In our example sentence, dinosaurs were huge beasts.
True.
Many of them were. That's true.
Okay, so obviously they're going to find out something from this conversation. Things are going wrong. They need to figure out what's happening. So it says, from this conversation, Meg and Apollo learned that the company Triumvirate Holdings, it's the name of the company, is attempting to control all 5 oracles. Okay, so if you know your Greek mythology, you'll know that there are 5 oracles. And this company... probably run by the Beast. I think we'll find that out later, probably. But this company is attempting to control them. Now, attempt is another way of saying try. If you attempt to do something, you try to do something. Here's an example. Noel attempted to push the car out of the hole on his own, but it didn't work.
Well, good attempt, good try, but it didn't really work out. So I'm getting the feeling that this company Triumvirate Holdings is kind of the bad guy in the story or something like that.
I think we've been just introduced to the evil person or people here.
Definitely. And if we had any doubts, you'll get rid of those doubts. Everything will be clear in the next sentence, which says, the company's strategy is to have the demigods at Camp Half-Blood destroy the Grove of Dodona, one of the oracles. Wow. So often when people want to destroy something, that's kind of a bad, mean, terrible thing to do, because to destroy something is to totally wreck or ruin or break something, right? In a bad car crash, a car could be destroyed. If you've destroyed a car, that means it can't be fixed, right? It's done. It's junk. It's garbage now. You're going to have to buy a new one. So it's not damaged. It's not hurt. It's totally 100% 90% hurt, so it can't be used again. For example, the hurricane destroyed many parts of Puerto Rico. Oh, yeah, a few months ago, right? And
not even a few months ago, just a couple of months ago.
That's right.
Yeah,
they had a big hurricane and many buildings got knocked down. A lot of people lost power and water. It took a long time to fix, and some things just couldn't be fixed. They were destroyed.
Okay, well, we also saw the Grove of Dodona, and now this is one of the examples of the temples where oracles would deliver messages. Now, a grove is a group of trees, and not just any group of trees. They're usually ones that are grown or sort of planted in a certain way. Sometimes that could be in a circle, like a circle of trees, or in a line. If you're in an apple orchard, all those trees will be in a line. You could call that a grove.
It's a pretty little forest. Kind of like that. All right. So this is where we would find this oracle. Yeah, and often in movies, fairies and other animals live in groves.
They kind of live near there.
Hang around in groves. Anyways, back to the article. Conveniently for triumvirate holdings, or luckily for the bad guys, the grove is located in the forest surrounding the camp. Oh, so this attack could happen very close to Camp Half-Blood. And we know that this forest is very close because it says it's the forest surrounding the camp. To surround, this verb basically means to be on all sides. When you give a person a hug, you're trying to make your arms surround their body. Or if we talk about an island, like Taiwan is an island, it's an island because it's surrounded by water. There is water on all sides, all the way around in a circle, or something like that. We could say, for example, the enemy army surrounded the castle. Back in the old days, that's the way they might fight a war. One army would go make a big circle of their army around the castle so no one could get in or out. To do that, they would have to surround the castle. So there we are. Okay. This is kind of a cliffhanger ending.
Yeah,
what we call a dramatic ending, and we're like, but what's going to happen? What's going to happen tomorrow?
I bet it has something to do with those missing demigods.
I would think so. I hope they're okay, and maybe they'll save the day. But to find out, you're going to have to come back and join us for that. But before we leave you, we do have our For You Chat question.
Okay.
For You Chat.
All right, so today's For You Chat question, something for all of you smartphone zombies out there.
Okay.
If you lost contact with other people for a day, what would you do to stay busy and why? Say your smartphone just doesn't work anymore, you have no internet, your phone's gone, you can't talk to anyone, you're stuck at home. What are you going to do?
Nothing special. Everything I normally do. I don't know, read books. I might wonder why the internet's down, you know, and if it was a busy day, I might be a little worried. Like, how can I tell someone I'm going to be late?
Right.
But I think as people, as human beings, we should be able to live for
without
24
them.
hours on our own. We're not asking you to go to Mars by yourself or anything. But, I think I would be fine.
You'd read. Yeah. I would probably read books. I'd probably try to do a puzzle or something like that.
There you go. Yeah, clean the bathroom.
Yeah, probably not.
No?
Okay.
All right, maybe not.
Well, maybe...
That would be on day 2.
Maybe you guys will clean the bathroom. Talk about this question with each other and see what kind of responses you get. But we have to say goodbye.
And you'll be fine. Don't worry, you'll be fine. We promise.
The Hidden Oracle. When Apollo and Meg arrive at the camp, they're shocked to find the place in a bad way. For one, the Oracle of Delphi can no longer deliver oracles or messages from the gods. For another, there have been no messages sent out or received at the camp for quite a while. What's worse, some of the demigods at the camp have gone missing. Apollo and Meg have arrived at the camp just in time for a 3-legged race through the labyrinth. Great strength and intelligence are required to get through it, especially when fastened to someone else. Once they're in the labyrinth, Meg and Apollo, who are partners, come up behind a dragon. The pair overhears the dragon talking to someone called the Beast. From this conversation, Meg and Apollo learn that the company Triumvirate Holdings is attempting to control all 5 oracles. The company's strategy is to have the demigods at Camp Half-Blood destroy the grove of Dodona, one of the oracles. Conveniently for Triumvirate Holdings, the grove is located in the forest surrounding the camp.
Vocabulary Review.
Message. Vivian just sent me a message. She says she'll be joining us later. Intelligence. Charles has great intelligence. He has the best grades in the class. Fasten. Please fasten your seatbelts, everyone. The plane will land shortly. Beast. In this story, a knight is searching for a terrible beast that is attacking people. Attempt. The dog attempted to get the food on the table, but couldn't reach it. Surround. Police surrounded the thieves and told them to put their hands up.